God's delays are not denials. By Dr. Suresh Govind. It all happened when I was studying for my degree at Tunku Abdul Rahman College, Kuala Lumpur. Unlike others, I used to sit in the back row of my class, away from the commanding gaze of lecturers, and was too shy to come forward to participate in activities. One day, I reluctantly joined my friends, who persuaded me to attend a talk at my college on Hinduism by a senior leader from the Satya Sai organization. I was comfortably sitting at the back of the auditorium, where I was silently plotting my escape as soon as the talk commenced. However, the charisma of the speaker, the humorous anecdotes, and the simple manner of conveying the deep complex subject mesmerized me. He had an aura of positivity, which was inspiring. This deepened my curiosity to find out more about where he came from. One thing led to another, and on a Vinayak Chaturthi day, I found myself at the Bangsar Sai Center for the first time, singing bhajans along with other devotees. That was how Bhagwan, in his unique, mysterious way, pulled me into his fold. I was also attracted to his devotees in this Sai Center. They also reflected the same aura of positivity, which encouraged me to frequent the center more often. I was very impressed with the energy, dynamism, and overall commitment of the members of this center. However, at that time, I was not really attracted to Swami. I was only curious about him because of the devotion and reverence he commanded from these beautiful people. Travel to see Satya Sai Baba. It was this curiosity that led me to answer Bangalore, when my father, who worked in an airline, asked me whether I wished to travel on a free ticket to any place I wanted, a privilege reserved for airline employees. From Bangalore, I took my first 6-hour bus journey and landed in Prashanti Nilayam in 1986. Before leaving Malaysia, the Bangsar Center president gave me some books he had written to get them blessed by Swami. By his grace, I was seated in the very first row during my first ever darshan. All this was very new to me and I had no clue about what happens during these sessions. As Swami arrived, walking gently on the sand, I saw people offering letters to him, touching his feet, and craning their necks to see him for an extra moment. I was lost in thinking how I should address him. Devotees have told me to address him as Swami. But his name is Sai Baba. Should I call him Sai or Baba or the complete Sai Baba? Maybe it is best that I address him by his full name, Satya Sai Baba, though I had decided to call him by his name and mentally even rehearsed it a few times. When he finally came near me, I got on my knees and spontaneously said, Swami, here are books from Malaysia. The author wanted me to get them blessed by you. I know, he said and placed his hand on the books I was holding. Automatically, I bowed down and touched his feet to receive my first Padnamaskar. Swami then moved on. What is an interview? After that, somehow, I found myself seated in the first row for the next 3 to 4 darshan sessions, even when we went by the general token lines. So, every day, I would be blessed to receive Padnamaskar. Seeing my good fortune, 3 Malaysian ladies who had come earlier to Prashanti Nilayam came over to me and said, Swami seems to bless you daily. Why don't you ask him for an interview? What is an interview? I asked. Swami will take us into a separate room and materialize rings and chains for us. Or he gives them to everybody. Not everybody, but the chance of getting them from him is high during an interview. So, What should I ask? Ask Swami for an interview, and he will probably ask how many are there in the group. Say 4, it's 4 of us. I reluctantly said okay, dismissing the possibility that this would ever take place. Then, I went to give the books to the administrators of the university. They asked me if I was here for the first time. I said yes. They then asked a Sevadal to escort me and give me a guided tour of the university. Administrative block, the stadium, Swami's pet elephant Sai Gita, the planetarium, etc. I assumed that this was a courtesy extended to all visitors. Only much later did I realize that this was also due to his divine grace. Then, slowly, the master scriptwriter unfolded his play. A gentleman of Chinese origin, who we will call Chen, wearing a red t-shirt with the words, "Drink Anchor Beer," approached me. I began chatting with him and learned that he was also a first-timer at the place. He had come as a tourist and simply wanted to know what on earth was happening here. Then, I narrated what the Malaysian ladies told me and urged him to ask for an interview. He replied, "What is an interview?" I took the opportunity to educate him and told him that in such situations, Swami would give him chains and rings. I added, when he asks how many people are there, say it's 5 of us. I shall do the same if I get the chance. The deal was made. It was all so casual, never realizing what was to happen. I never, for one moment, thought that the divine, in his own way, was orchestrating a deep, incisive surgery on my ego for my spiritual advancement. An interview is an interview. It was a Sunday, and it appeared that the whole world had come for darshan. There was not an inch of space available because, taking advantage of the Sunday, an overwhelming crowd had come to feast their eyes on their beloved Lord. I guess my luck ran out that day for this particular darshan as I got a seat at the back of Sai Kulwant Hall, with my back leaning against the compound wall and a sea of humanity separating me from Swami. Suddenly, my eyes fell on Chen seated precisely in the first row. The stage was set. Swami appeared. There was a hushed silence. Every neck was craning to get a glimpse of him as he walked past. From where I was seated, Swami appeared small and distant. Then Swami suddenly stopped where Chen was seated. I heard Swami ask, "How many?" I heard him reply, "5." Swami said, "Come." Then, Chen stood up and started waving to me. I waved back and stood up, making my way toward the front. As I was walking, saying, "Sai Ram," Swami is calling Malaysia. The sea of humanity in front of me parted as the Red Sea parted for Moses. I am quite tall, and Swami also saw me walking. Swami was now signing someone's book, but I knew he saw me getting up. I reached the elevated days area, and with a few more steps, I would be in the world's most desired heaven, the interview room. Chan had already happily sailed into the interview room. For some reason, which I still do not know, something made me turn back to see Swami. What made me turn? Who made me turn, and why? Till today my mind cannot fathom this. Swami was standing only a few meters away. Simultaneously, as I turned back to see Swami, he lifted his gaze from the book to stare at me. No other director could have planned this drama with such incredible timing and synchronous movement other than the divine director himself. Our eyes met. The pin-drop silence in the hall was shattered by Swami's question, "Hey, you. Where are you going?" "Swami, interview, not you. Sit down." I took one step forward and said, "Five, group of five, Malaysia," referring to his conversation with Chen. I was now deeply troubled and feeling very embarrassed. Swami said sharply, "Not all Malaysians get an interview. Sit down." I thought that Swami was not aware of my conversation and the deal with Chen. So I tried explaining, "Swami, that man said five. I am one of." "Sit down," interrupted Swami. The whole hall witnessed this dress down. The Malaysian ladies who got up to go for the interview, after witnessing the calamity befalling me, quietly sat down in their respective places. I took two more steps towards Swami, thinking of explaining myself. "Sit down," Swami said, and his eyes seemed ablaze now. A few Sevadal volunteers quickly rushed to escort me to my place. I sat down in the space vacated by Chen in the first row. The humiliation I felt at that moment was so painful that I wished the earth would swallow me up. As I sat and tried to analyze what had happened, 1,000 thoughts flooded my mind. Why me? I did not deserve this. I never wanted an interview. Swami had seen me getting up. But why pull me to the front and smash me in front of thousands? Why, Swami? Why? That, too, was my first visit. Uncontrollable tears kept gushing from my eyes. The pain got aggravated when devotees sitting near me tried comforting me. It was like all being poured over fire. But that was it. Chan from our group of five went in alone. Many long minutes passed, and then the bhajans began. That was when Chan walked out of the interview room. His face seemed red, and profuse tears were running down his cheeks. Something had obviously happened inside. A few minutes later, Swami came out and walked straight to me. "When are you leaving?" "Swami, this Wednesday. 3 more days." "Ah, you have got time. Why do you worry?" He was trying to comfort me, but I was beyond consolation. In fact, it took me a couple of years to share this whole episode with my family back in Malaysia. The next day, when I met Chen, he was a completely transformed being, as evidenced by what he was wearing and how he spoke with love and humility. I marveled at his transformation. I, too, had a transformation. I felt that spirituality is not for the casual and the complacent. The surgical incision Swami did was painful, but the experience empowered me to have a deeper and more serious perspective on spirituality. I felt my inhibitions were stripped. I decided I would simply plunge into the activities of the Sai Center. That gift of an interview indeed had provided Chen with an inner view, while the denial of the same interview gave me an inner view also. Interview at last. After that interview denial, I plunged into different activities at my Sai Center. Strangely, the more active I became at the Sai Center, the more my love for Swami grew. Sai activities became an obsession. Though I was a research student completing my master's and PhD at different universities, 80% of my time was spent at the Sai Center. My father was worried. So were many of my relatives. Their advice to me was the same: stop spending so much time in this Sai Center. Focus on your education and career. I did not mind their well-intentioned advice, but I was helpless. The love I felt towards Swami and his work was simply unstoppable. Swami had told me during that first trip that I had time. That time turned out to be 12 years. Yes, I got my first interview, along with my wife, after a full 12 years. During this time period, one of the activities I was deeply involved in was scripting dramas to be presented to Swami in Prashanti Nilayam. I was blessed to be involved in 12 drama productions, all of which Swami watched and enjoyed. Swami took me and my wife into the inner interview room. When I saw him there, so close and available to me, I broke down. I began shedding profuse tears. I felt like a river that had reached the sea. Love emanated in surging waves from my heart, and as I laid my head on his lap, I cried happy tears like I had never done in my life before. Hey, my gown is getting wet, Swami said. I was unable to speak, and my wife spoke on my behalf. Swami, he loves you a lot, Swami smiled. He patted me on my head. I felt salvation. I felt blessed. But every interview is an interview. Swami is a perfectionist and is constantly striving for our evolution. He said, emotion is one thing. Devotion is another. Emotion is important, but devotion is most important. I understood that while emotions overwhelm us momentarily, devotion is a lifelong commitment. Devotion means placing Swami as the ideal and ensuring that every action we take pleases him. That is the message of my first interview with Swami, which I carry in my heart to this day. Sarv Karma Bhagvat Prityartham. Dr. Suresh Govind.